Good afternoon or good evening. Happy Thanksgiving to everyone, and happy Thanksgiving end, I should say. I'm joined by the two winners. I got Kurt, I got Glock. I got an awesome time ahead of us for the next 50 minutes as we head up to lock for the Chargers and Ravens. Glock, how are you doing today, man? How's everything been this weekend?
Pretty good, pretty good. First Thanksgiving with the baby. Today was actually the due date of the baby, so kind of crazy that he came so early. But just spending time with the fam, sweating out DFS. Nothing much better than that. Obviously, having a lot of fun in this main slate as usual. Just sweating everything. I'm curious how Kurt's doing because last week he was mentioning that he found the secret sauce to caching. So I'm curious how he's doing this week. But not to put you on the spot or anything like that, Kurt. But yeah, I mean, all's good. Look forward to this showdown slate. Finally, it kind of feels like we have a nice one to kind of talk about when it comes to two teams that can put up points. So looking forward to break this down with you guys. But yeah, curious to hear about your main slate, Rubio, and Kurt's as well.
Yeah, 100%. And Kurt's got a flight to catch at 9:30, so he's going to be out of here a little early. But I do need to know how Kurt Sunday is doing, too. Did you stack up the Bills-Eagles?
No, I mean, I got at least one piece from those games. Mostly did. I didn't stack it up. I feel like a lot of people probably had multiple pieces. I just made sure I had one piece from it. It's mostly just Diggs or Kincaid and like Shakir. I just did like a one-off of that one that passed. A little bit of Allen, but nothing crazy. Like, I don't know if people did like a 3-man stack of it. But as far as what Glock was referencing, I got a little cocky. I did do the adjustments that I needed to. I bumped up some guys for the early only. Then I got cocky. I didn't do it for main. So I made money on early only. And because I didn't make those same changes to my main teams, it didn't do that great. I mean, I didn't do that terrible, but all in all, I think I'll probably end up losing like 10%. But early only was pretty good. But I love this showdown tonight. Like I got some strong stands, which means I'm probably going to, I don't know how, well, I feel really good about a slate. I don't know how often it ends up coming to fruition, but I do feel really, really, really freaking good about the slate. And I have a player that I really like. I'm probably going to jam in 100%.
I love it. I love it.
That's not like a stud.
Yeah, 100%. I'll be interested to hear those takes. We'll have the quarterback position, running back. We'll go position by position, and then we'll end up following it through with our cores probably at the end. But I'll do set a like button here. I'll get to the likes a little bit later on. What likes we need to get. We might even do the big T core later on today. We'll see. But ultimately, let's go ahead and talk about quarterbacks. We got two really good ones here. Obviously, we got Lamar Jackson, one of the best DFS quarterbacks, who's ran pretty awful on touchdown variance over the last few weeks. It's been Gus Edwards' world, and we're just living in it. Then you got Justin Herbert, whose wide receivers couldn't catch a touchdown to save their lives against the Packers. Both these guys seem very, very keen to fit in my main lineup. Kurt, what do you think about this slate here with the quarterback position?
All right, yeah, my internet's moving slow, so I can't even type or do anything or unmute myself. It takes like 10 seconds to unmute myself. But yeah, I'm on apparently the local McDonald's Wi-Fi. My parents' Wi-Fi, no matter what they do, is just always trash. So we're gonna do the best we can. Quarterbacks, I want the rushing quarterback. I want Lamar. I'm not really been high. I've always go after Herbert's pass catchers instead of him, which in this system with Kellen Moore's system, it actually is more likely that quarterback can be optimal captain than the previous system he was running in for the Chargers. We saw Dak do it a couple of times when he was in that Kellen Moore offense because he kind of just spreads it around so much. But I'm just going to stick to my narrative. I want the guy with the rushing ability, and I'll take the pass catchers, and I'll go Eckler instead of Herbert.
Yeah, I like it. It is worth noting, just for the past few games from the eye test perspective, it feels like Justin Herbert is running the ball a little bit more than he has been in the past. There's been some long scrambles his way. Glock, I think that you're going to have interest in Lamar at captain, but I also want to know if you're going to have any Herbert captain tonight.
Yeah, you mentioned it. Lamar captain. Obviously, every showdown slate that features Lamar, you kind of go in expecting that you're going to get jamming in a lot of Lamar captains. Like, at least that's, from a history perspective, that's what it feels like. But just like with my numbers right here, I have Lamar projected above my second highest guy by 4 or 5 points. And in my first 10 lineups, I only get one Lamar captain team, which kind of is surprising to me. And that's kind of the nature of the slate, which we'll obviously break down into when we get into the other positions. But you have some cheap value that are projecting pretty well. that allows you to jam in. Like if you play this cheap value at captain, it allows you to jam in all the studs from, both sides basically. So I surprisingly and do not have that much Lamar captain, but obviously, I expect points to be had in this game. He's going to be way overexposed in my util spot. And then same with Justin Herbert. Like Kurt mentioned, it kind of feels like he can kind of spread it around. And tonight, you have a guy like Jalen Guyton trying to get back into the mix as well. So that's just another target that he's going to have. And so, yeah, I mean, in a way that kind of advocates more for a captain spot on Justin Herbert's. Like you can advocate that more because, if he's spreading it around, there's not one pass catcher that's really spreading it out from the field. And then, you're just going to lock in those passing touchdowns with him as the captain. So I don't hate it, but personally, if you know my style and play 10 lineups, I'm not going to have any Herbert captain. Generally, I'm like a skill position guy in the captain spot, and it's going to look like that tonight as well.
Yeah, 100%. It makes sense here. And yeah, it is troubling to get Lamar in the captain, especially if you want both quarterbacks tonight. You got Lamar, Herbert, and then you're kind of running out of salary. And I do like the amount of salary savers that we have tonight. We got guys like Quentin Johnson and Jalen Guyton that we'll get to here soon. And we also have a big news too. I mean, this is obviously, it's been here for around 10 days or whatever. But Mark Andrews being out for the rest of the season, or almost the rest of the season, it looks like. You're going to have Isaiah Likely too. So it'll be interesting. And we have plenty of skill players to choose from. And we'll go ahead and get to the running back position. And Kurt, I'll give you 10 seconds to unmute your mic too. And I'll kind of blitz through this running back spot. You got Eckler, you got Gus Edwards has been a machine, and then you got Keaton Mitchell has been explosive plays. Kurt, what are you doing with the running backs tonight?
One thing I'm not going to do is go on here and act like I know the key to this Ravens backfield. Unless you're in the Ravens organization, I don't think you can confidently say what you think is going to happen. Who's going to be the goal line back? Probably Edwards. Who's the much better running back? Keaton Mitchell. We saw it at ECU. The guy just makes big plays. I mean, he should just get the full-on bell cow role, but maybe they're just scarred because Lily Dobbins tears his Achilles every play. But I don't know. I don't know what to do with it. I think Keaton Mitchell is perfect in GPPs. I think Edwards is probably a little bit overpriced unless he does fall in the end zone again, which he probably does. Yeah, look, guys, I'm sorry about the internet, okay? I'll be home tomorrow. I'm sorry. But
it's really not
as far
that
as
bad.
Eckler goes, thanks, Gog. I appreciate that. Always so nice. I mean, like I said, Eckler over Herbert for me. He's not really had one of those smash games, but I think not a great matchup either. But someone who can always catch passes, find different ways to get there. I mean, he could catch a touchdown, fall in the end zone on a short goal line run. He's slow. I feel like that narrative's going to play into it tonight. I think last week when he got around the corner, his top speed was 13 miles an hour. That's dusty as hell, but I'm hoping that kind of is in the back of people's heads. So let's get that touchdown variance from 2000. Was it last year or the year before last? Let's get that touchdown variance from Austin Eckler tonight.
Yeah, I like it. Obviously, had a couple of big games already this season, especially the touchdown variance went his way a ton last year. And yeah, it seems like Gus Edwards is the goal line back for sure. I mean, it's without a doubt. I mean, how many touchdowns he had in the last 6 weeks? Glock, I don't really know what to do with Gus Edwards. We're creeping into that price range now at 8.6, where even if he gets into the box once, he could easily just have 11 or 12 DK, and I don't know if that would be enough. But what do you think about Gus the Bus tonight?
Yeah, I totally agree with you, Rubio. It's with 10 lineups, it's tough to get behind running back by committees, right? And on the Baltimore side, you clearly have that. Obviously, Gus Edwards, goal line back, you mentioned. Keaton Mitchell has obviously shown that big play upside, and he's way cheaper, and it actually looks like he's lower owned. So if that remains to be true, obviously I prefer Keaton Mitchell of the two. And then I'll just take the kind of stance that you did where, if he falls into the goal line once and only ends with 10 or 11, I'm okay with it because I actually have him at 11 projection and he's not falling into my lineups. Obviously, if I played 150, you can definitely take your shots more. But I personally am going to be fading the running backs from the Baltimore side. Obviously, if the first drive happens and, Keaton Mitchell breaks a long one, I could turn off my TV and just enjoy, sweat NBA, So that's just the stance I'll be taking. And obviously, Austin Eckler, Kurt mentioned it, tough matchup, but he has so many ways to get there on DraftKings. You have that point per reception. I'm going to have some exposure to him in my captain spot and util. So basically just one play for me from the running back position. That's Austin Eckler. So yeah.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense there. I mean, Keaton Mitchell is even creeping up. What is he, 6'8"? That's just really high for a guy who definitely might not even get 35% of the snaps. So he is explosive. He can absolutely tear it on one play. And it's just risky if you're only running a few teams or whatever. It's more of an MME play. And Gus Edwards the same way. And I used to say this about Derrick Henry, more tongue in cheek. But you basically, if Derrick Henry scores once, he won't kill me. But Gus Edwards is creeping into that range where he's not getting any work inside the 20s. It's literally just they fall down inside the 5-yard line. And Gus Edwards, he's been an incredible running back his whole career. We don't want to put dirt on his name or whatever. He has the most yards per carry or over 5 yards per carry his entire career. It's kind of incredible what he's done. But you do have to consider the risk here, right? Like if you're able to stomach 5 DK from a guy who's 8.6, sure you could have clicked any Bengal last week at that price except for Joe Mixon and been fine.
System running back
this week. And this week it's tough. And I'm with you, Eckler, a little bit more on the radar than these guys, but I do want to get to these wide receivers before I waste any more time too, because the wide receiver position is really juicy. And this is why the running backs might not be incredibly popular either, because when you look across the board, you get Zay Flowers, who got a decent bump without Mark Andrews. It felt like Zay Flowers, obviously his long touchdown was called back incredibly, for whatever reason it was. Even as a Bengal fan, you were like, damn, I don't know how that got called back. You also get Nelson Aguilar caught a touchdown last week, even though he's kind of irrelevant here on this slate, in my opinion. You got Odell Beckham Jr., Rashad Bateman is really cheap on FanDuel. Then you look at the Chargers side of the ball. Keenan Allen's a stud, but Jalen Guyton, 4 for 41 last week. Ever since his return from injury, we kind of forgot about him the first 7-8 weeks of the season. Since he's returned, he looked like Herbert's second favorite target last week. Quentin Johnston's only 3K. And there's a lot we can do on this slate with the wide receiver position. Kurt, I'm going to kick it to you. I'll give you a few seconds on mute. But we get a ton of potential here. How many wide receivers are you going in most of your teams?
How many? Let's see what I have so far. Let's go on main. I got three, and then 1 pass catcher. So what I want to do, this is honestly the cream of the crop of the slate. So I guess I'll talk about the Ravens first. I know they'll probably get the touchdown and tilt me, but these other guys like Odell, he's not looked bad. Not much interest there if you're meeting, of course, but Bateman too. Yes, they could get a catch, but I want the first read guys. Like this offense, the short, intermediate out, first read guys in Baltimore's offense are just the stone nuts. I don't see a way, Likely or Flowers, one of the two, or I don't see a way where one of those aren't awful tonight. And this offense, it's like, I know Greg Norman's not there. Orman? What the hell is his last name? Greg Roman. Greg Roman's not there anymore. But it's still the same thing. We see a lot of the same thing with this offense. And it's probably to help Lamar, like first reads. How many of the pass plays are going to be Bateman or Odell the first read? Maybe 10%, 20%? So it's going to be Flowers or
one read. So.
Hey, no slander. Okay. I know I was hinting at it, but we don't say that. You know what I'm saying? We should hint at it. But, yes, I want one of those two, maybe both. I keep waiting for the Likely game. He's my most exposed guy in best ball, him and Tank Dell. It's not happened the first 2 games of the year for whatever reason. So most likely the more safer option is probably Flowers, but I like both. I definitely don't want to build a lineup where you fade both of them. So do that. I'm ready to break down the Chargers, but I feel like I've been talking forever, so I'm going to let Glock kind of go on the Ravens situation.
All right, perfect. And I do want to mention the Chargers secondary has been their Achilles heel the entire season, and now we're getting a clear target tree for the most part with the Ravens, right, Glock? I mean, Isaiah Likely should step into that Andrews role. I mean, how much interest do you have in Flowers, Likely, and all these other Ravens too?
I guess we're just clubbing Likely into the wide receiver section. But yeah, I mean, you have to have interest. I totally agree with Kurt where it's like, man, Lamar, he just kind of vultures so much production where it gets a little shaky when you try to pair him with multiple pass catchers. I'm going to definitely just do like a max 2, like so Lamar with like one of Likely and then one of Bateman, Odell Beckham, and Aguilar, those guys. I mean, and if you want to talk about like my favorite, it's definitely Zay Flowers. Obviously, last week, if he didn't get that, flag called, he would have like broken the slate, and that's what you need on Showdown, right? He has that big playability. I'm gonna have some of him in the captain. He'll be my only Baltimore receiver that I do have in the captain. And then when it comes to like Rashad Bateman, Odell Beckham, I will probably be about even on those two. It's really like a coin flip to me. Obviously, Odell Beckham is way more expensive, $2,200 more. So I expect his ownership to be lower, which makes that a plus play. And then Nelson Aguilar, I think if he's a last in piece at 2,200, I'm okay with him as well. And then on the Chargers side, since Kurt didn't break it down, you have to love Keenan Allen, right? He's been amazing this year, total alpha, no Mike Williams. So like the offense is really just concentrated in on him. We did mention it early in the show. Jalen Guyton is making, he's come back, but I think like he's not everything that people wanted Quentin Johnson to be, but he can essentially take up some of that usage. And I like him. I mean, I like him a lot. I have him at a 7 projection, and he's hitting some in my captain spot, which really surprised me when I ran lineups. That should just tell you, like, yeah, I mean, he has big playability too. So like at 7 is like not even too far fetched.
No,
and then
go ahead. So I don't mean to interrupt, but Guyton's like, I love the Guyton play tonight. If you were able to watch the Detroit game, you saw him come back 4 catches, 41 yards, touchdown. No, like, dude, this guy had the chance to, like, the short routes, the big plays. You could just tell that Herbert was like, oh my God, thank God I can throw someone else besides Quentin Johnson. Like, you just tell he was like, thank you, Lord. And he just trusted him. Even like the guy just came back. The timing routes were there. I told myself next slate, whatever it is, go all in on Guyton. The worst that could happen is a cheap guy burns you, but like, I'm going to have an ungodly amount of Guyton. I had him in my core as my captain. I just think he's going to step into that second man role. Like now we do view him as like a big play guy, but from what I saw in the Detroit game, he can do it all now. And Herbert is going to target the shot of him because Quentin Johnson, I mean, look at last week, dude. Like, let it be known, I'm probably going to tilt Quentin Johnson to have a career game, but he's not it. Like, some of the combine numbers stood out that this guy just might not be NFL caliber. Now he's dropping balls. Like, that's supposed to be the one thing he can do is kind of catch the ball because he's not that great at getting separation. Guyton has a chance to really step into a giant role here. If it burns me, it burns me. But I'm going all in on Guyton, all in on Flowers are likely. One more. Wait, we're good tight ends next. Got a couple tight end flyers as well.
Can I just piggyback them off real quick, Glock? Then we'll get back to your Chargers take. I was putting in my core. I found a team that I love, and I found out it's the same exact core as Kurt. Kurt and I are holding hands tonight, and it is Jalen Guyton captain. That'll be the hint. Remember, get these likes up. Let's try and hit 100 likes. We'll give the first core out. I don't know how many likes we're at right now, but I know we'll probably get there here soon. Glock, kind of give the rest of your take on the Chargers wide receivers as well.
Yeah, I mean, we're all on the Jalen Guyton boat for sure. Right now, I'm seeing Quentin Johnson have more ownership than Guyton. I'd expect that to flip. I think most of the field is like, Quentin Johnson is only 3K still, which is crazy, right? But Jalen Guyton is cheaper, and he's shown some box score ability, and there's not really negative mojo around him like there is Quentin Johnson. So I do expect that Jalen Guyton and Johnson ownership to flip. But yeah, you got to love them still. And then when it comes to the rest of the receivers, Guyton is the only guy other than Keenan Allen that I'll have in the captain spot, just because Guyton just opens up the build for you and allows you to jam in so many other guys. But I'll have some exposure just for leverage when it comes to Quentin Johnson. I really wish that he was coming in low owned. Like all the ownership would just funnel in on Guyton, and then Quentin Johnson be used as a leverage play. But right now it's like looking even, or maybe, one slightly ahead of the other, which makes him not as good of a play. But I'll have some exposure just because, like the talent is supposedly there, and on the Showdown slate, it just takes one, and everyone's been waiting for it. It just takes one from Quentin Johnson. Tonight could be the night, so I'll have some of him. But other than that, no other wide receiver exposure for me.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense there. I like it. Thank you, Glock. Let's go ahead and move on to the tight end position. This is a big one. Isaiah Likely, obviously, we already talked about him a couple of times. Then on the other end of this, other end of the field, you get Gerald Everett. He is back. So Gerald Everett is back from injury. That also means that Donald Parham Jr. and Stone Smart, both who received price hikes in the expectation that Gerald Everett would miss or overpriced. We have Charlie Kolar back. Jack off. You said I'm the Kolar whisperer. I think he was my player of the day twice in the preseason, and he sucked both times. So I appreciate the reputation, but that's definitely far from the truth. Let's go ahead. Glock, I'm going to kick it to you first. So Kurt, I know I got you already there. I'll kick it back to you second. But Glock, give me your take on Isaiah Likely and the rest of this tight end group.
I'll have some, but I think just due to the price of the cheap wide receivers of Johnston and Guyton, it kind of squeezes out, a guy like Likely who is in the 5K. And just because of that, let me see the ownership on him. It does look to be somewhat large, not large, but a decent chunk. So, I mean, you have to like him, right? Lamar and tight end ones. Obviously, it hasn't really come to fruition just yet, but tonight could be the night. So I have some exposure there. And then when it comes to the Chargers tight end position, it's kind of like the Baltimore running back position where it's like a tight end by committee. Gerald Everett, Donald Parham, Stone Smart, your boy. It's hard for me to get there in 10 lineups, right? Because it's like, I just don't want to be spreading it out too thin. I like to take stands. So I probably won't be getting to any of the Chargers tight ends and just kind of more focus on the Isaiah Likely play. And then this Charlie Kohler play, he's actually popping a little bit for me. He's in, right?
Yes, he is in.
Okay. Yeah. So like at a 2 projection, I'm getting some of him. Obviously, he's almost stone min at 600, where you can, helps jam in Lamar, Herbert, a few other studs in him. So I like him as a play. But so yeah, just from the Baltimore side, the tight ends are good. And then the Charger side, I'm going to be personally staying away from, that tight end committee basically.
100%. Awesome. Yeah. Oh God. Yeah. Look at that. I got caught out there. Kurt.
100%.
The worst one was I didn't see that until I saw it. So Kurt, go ahead and give your take on the tight end group here.
Look, like I said, I'm a big Likely guy. I'm not going to hop off the train here, obviously, in this spot, but I would be lying if I said I wasn't a little scared. Like we kind of saw the first 2 games when Andrews was dealing with injury, and we got nothing from Likely. Now, maybe we need to take a deeper dive into why the hell the targets weren't there, nothing. Maybe he wasn't getting open. I wasn't able to look at reception, preception to see if maybe what the deal was there, but I'm a little worried. I can't lie, but I'm not going to be I want to be early on him, so I'm going to be going it. But I just say I want to probably hinder my captain exposure, maybe. Because I've seen like literally 30 comments about Likely captain, and it's like, I mean, if you happen to flex, like let's just wait until he shows us something, maybe. Because the targets haven't even been there the first 2 weeks. I'm a big Likely guy, but what if it is like, what if they do said, we've seen them kind of get weird funky with tight ends when Andrews has been out. What if they decide, okay, Kohler's going to be the receiving tight end? We have seen Likely have a big showdown slate. I think it was last year, one of the night games, but I would just be a little cautious. I'm going to mix in Kohler just in case that is the case. He did make a couple plays the first preseason game, and after that, I think it's when he burned Rubio. But or maybe it was last year. I remember I went to the Bucs game when they played the Ravens this year in the preseason, and he was like rolled out. I was like, oh, okay, cool. But yeah. So I will take a shot there. Likely, I want a lot. I want to be overexposed in the flex, but probably underweight captain. And then I think Everett's interesting. And Parham, obviously, if he gets the end zone catch, but I'm not going to play for that. Everett's interesting because it gives Herbert another guy to throw to that he kind of has some confidence in. I'm just basically taking shots at Quentin Johnson, just talking shit to him the whole time. But yeah.
Perfect.
There's the first touchdown. There's the first touchdown there. Right there.
No, for real though. But yeah, we need to bet that. Let's bet that. Like, look, we're not playing tonight, but let's just bet first touchdown QJ. Can I, right. You know what? I'm sorry, I can't keep this in. Can I address the guy who said this? No, hold on. We got to address something. The guy said this isn't Detroit D earlier when I was talking about Jalen Guyton. Look, buddy, you're getting a 2,600 wide receiver too. I don't care if it's the middle. What does that comment mean about anything? This is a Detroit defense. Well, so okay, then play 6 Ravens, dude. I don't know. If you want to play 6 Ravens, play 6 Ravens. If you want to go to Bob Evans, go to Bob Evans. I don't know.
All right, Kurt, real quick. Twice. Kurt, let me talk real quick. All right, you got to give your take on the defense and kickers, and I need you to get out of here and go catch your flight. So go ahead and give your take on the defense and kickers, and then you can go ahead and head out.
We're not playing defense tonight, guys. We're not doing it. Okay, we're just not doing it. We got 2 quarterbacks who are competent. The touchdown thing ends here. It has to end here. Kickers are fine. I'm following. You can go Likely over one. I think in my main, you can go to Dicker. I wish you could get Tucker. You can't fit him. It's hard to really hit 5,400 Tucker. You can fit Dicker over Likely. I can see that kind of. A lot of people are going to be on Likely. I can see Dicker maybe outscoring him, pissing a lot of people off. So go there. But yeah, I'm good on the defenses.
All right. So you got the kickers too. Perfect. Okay. Thank you for joining us, Kurt, too. You can stick around as long as you want, but I just wanted to make sure we got your takes before you had to head out. Glock, what are you doing with the defenses and kickers tonight?
Appreciate it.
Yeah, for once, it feels like we're not going to be, at least me, we're not going to be on them. Rest in peace before a defensive touchdown happens right on the first or second drive, like it's been happening all year, it seems like. But yeah, I mean, it feels like Thanksgiving slate. I had a ton of defense and kickers on each showdown slate, and tonight it feels kind of refreshing to look through my lineups and not see that many. So yeah, I think like if I were to play one, obviously Justin Tucker from kicker, one of the best in the league, can't go wrong with him. And then if I were to pick a defense, it would also be on the Ravens side with the Ravens DST itself. But I'm not going to have much exposure to any defense or kicker later, Kurt, if any, tonight. And it kind of feels good because obviously I think points are going to be had. So just jam in the studs, load up on it, and then, let the variance fall where it may when it comes to defensive touchdowns.
Yeah, 100%. Let the variance fall. We obviously have two great kickers too as well. So it'll be interesting to see how high owned they are. We had a question earlier from someone. It was Likely or Tucker, it looked like. So who would you choose between Likely or Tucker?
I would go Likely. I just think it's a lot more fun to cheer on pass catching than kicks. Obviously, if you roster a lot of kickers, you're hoping for a lot of stall drives, and there's nothing better than that opening drive where the offense stalls out, and then you get like that 50-yarder. Especially if you had what's his name, Jake Elliott on this Philadelphia game, hit a 59-yarder to tie it to go to overtime. You're gonna love that if you roster the kickers. So, yeah, I mean, I'd side the Likely side there.
Perfect. All right, and let's go ahead. Any questions that you guys have, feel free to toss them into the chat. We are not quite at 100 likes, but I'm feeling generous. Just hit the like button if you care. Let's go ahead and give away Kurt and I's core. The reason why I say Kurt and I's core is I'm like 99% sure that we're probably on the same team. It is Jalen Guyton, captain. It is Isaiah Likely, and it is Zay Flowers. Now, do with that what you will. Those are the three core pieces from Kurt. And that'll be good. And we also have a lot more questions in that are filtering in now. Glock, we didn't really talk much about Rashad Bateman. He had one target last week for a touchdown, or might have been two targets for a touchdown against the Bengals. Do you like Rashad Bateman at all?
I think he's fine. I mean, I kind of touched on it where it's like him and OBJ, Aguilar, I'll kind of have even exposure, like 2 to 3 lineups with them, even with the field in my 10. I obviously prefer Zay Flowers a lot more than those 3. So I'm going to have more exposure to him, especially in the captain spot. But in my util, I have some exposure to those other 3 Baltimore receivers. Like we kind of mentioned, it's kind of tough to get behind any of them, because I do feel like Lamar is a one-read guy. And after that, he starts taking off and running. So, yeah, that's kind of my take on them.
100%. I'm with you. There we go. God, when someone calls out how many times you say something like 100%, you got to watch yourself. And I'm going to keep saying
it. Gets 100%. In your head. Yeah, it gets in your head.
It's in my head. Yeah, you got it in my head. Rent free. OBJ or Likely? This is actually a really interesting question. And I think it's, I think Likely just barely for me, but I'm interested to hear what you say.
I agree. I mean, Odell, he had a pretty nice game last week, right? So I think if ownership shakes out to be OBJ is higher owned than Likely, obviously I prefer Likely. Right now, it looks like they're going to be pretty close in ownership. So, yeah, I'll give the slight edge to Likely as well. I just think a breakout game is due for him for sure.
Awesome. All right, and then we got OBJ or Flowers. I think Flowers by a landslide. I think that's the case for you too.
For sure, yeah. But I think the field agrees, right? The field will definitely agree with that take. Ownership will definitely be higher on Zay Flowers than OBJ, so just take that into account as well.
Correct. Best tournament captain. I don't want to say Jalen Guyton's like, oh man, he's an unreal tournament captain, because this build will definitely funnel you into one type of build. But I do like Guyton a lot. I'm trying to think who else could just really pop off. I like Zay Flowers. I think the loss of Andrews could be something where Flowers isn't going to get too popular in the captain spot, and he could definitely go under the radar. What are your thoughts, Glock? Do you have anyone that you might think of as a good tournament captain?
Yeah, so funny story is like for my core, my first team is actually a Guyton captain. It was just like I was the first one in, and I was like, I don't want to look like dumb or be on an island. So I went to my first team that wasn't Jalen Guyton captain. It had to be Keenan Allen. So I obviously love Jalen Guyton as a captain as well. Zay Flowers, I agree with you. And then you have to love Keenan Allen. He can like break any slate that he's on, especially with no really true competition with Mike Williams. So those three would be my favorite captains.
Love it. Love it. What's your stack exposure? 4-2, 5-1. I'm actually leaning more 3-3 and 4-2 on this slate. Do you have any 5-1s, Glock?
No, actually, I'm like the 5-1 connoisseur. I have no 5-1s in my lineups. I have 3-3s and 4-2s, all of them.
Love it. Perfect. Let's see. One thing Bateman's heating is the bench. That's good. Gus or Mitchell? God, I think it's Gus the bus straight up. What do you think?
Yeah, let me check my ownership here. Seems about even with a little bit more on Gus. Yeah, I lean Gus slightly, but like I said, I play 10 lineups. I personally won't have any exposure to the running backs, and if they beat me, they beat me. I'll just take my chances in, DraftKings PPR format where the pass catchers can just separate.
Perfect. We have a bunch of first touchdown ones in here. I'm about to look at the odds here in just a second. Quentin or Guyton? Guyton for me by quite a bit. I think you're on the same boat with us, right?
Yeah, for sure. And let's say after lock, it's like the game locks and Guyton's like 30-40% and Quentin Johnson's like 10 to 15%. Obviously that feels bad. But yeah, I'm gonna go Guyton, just not knowing ownership.
Yeah, perfect. Eckler likely or Dicker Herbert?
Man, these questions are so hard to like answer sometimes because you need the context of the lineup,
I think I know the context of it.
Is it with your core? Yeah. Have we given that out yet? Have we given your core out yet?
Yeah. We gave the core.
Okay.
Same as Kurt's, basically. And if you're a run pure member, you can probably piece the two cores together and be like, oh, wow, these are a little bit different enough to where you know. But yeah, that would be it. I'm definitely on the Eckler likely side. I think it's closer than when you say it out loud. I mean, I think it's closer than what it actually is, though.
For sure, definitely.
All right. So is Keenan a must play? I don't think it's a must play, but he's definitely very good. I mean, we have two great quarterbacks. We have a very strong running back. I have Keenan personally. I don't know. What about you, Glock? Do you have more Keenan or how much Keenan do you have out of those 10 builds?
He's not a lock for me. I have a few captain of him in the captain, and then I have about 50% in the util. I will say I have more exposure to both QBs than Keenan and Eckler. So I'm prioritizing both QBs in my builds over, a guy like Eckler or Keenan. Obviously that could bite me, but I just think points will be had and the quarterbacks are the main focus. Like you said at the tip of the show, Herbert did look like from the eye test that he's running more. So, get a little dual threat action from both sides. You're going to love that in the util spot.
I just went up to 13K on the afternoon slate, and I can't figure out why. And it's Devontae Smith. There it is. All right.
You caught another touchdown?
No, you got the bonus for 100.
Oh, you got the bonus. Let's go. Let's see if I get in the min.
I could use this drive stalling out for a field goal. Give us one last Josh Allen there. This is fun. This is a Lamar captain build. Okay, then I would definitely go the pass catcher and likely in that one though, because that goes with the Eckler likely captain that we just had, or Eckler likely or Dicker Herbert. Likely or Flowers at captain. Flowers straight up. I understand that Jalen Hurts just scored a rushing touchdown. Now I'm sad. But yeah.
What is that, 5 touchdowns for him on the day? Yeah, 5. Jesus.
Overrated. No, I'm playing. Jalen Hurts is a stud. It wasn't a push either. It was a legit one. I just hope I didn't get passed there by Jalen Hurts teams. Oh, I did. Oh, that's awful.
No.
That's awful. Oh, God, you go way back down. Oh, this is terrible. All right. We'll quit sweating that. Even if it was a touchdown pass, it would have been fine. Let's see. Bateman or Johnston?
I'm going to go Johnston.
Yeah,
I'm Johnston. I just have more faith in Herbert's ability to sling it around. And, I'm more focused on the Lamar to Flowers connection tonight, or Lamar's just going to run it in and do it himself. So I'll pick Johnston, even though he's been super disappointing so far.
Yeah, makes sense there. Anyone else have questions? Feel free to throw them into the chat here. Let's go ahead and see how many likes that we're at. We're at 111. Let's get up to 130. We'll give away Glock's core too. So Glock, I see your core is up. It's a good one too. I like it. I kind of think the direction of it could be a little bit different too if people are feeling more toward a Keenan Allen captain build. And that's the hint that we'll get But yes, we have 13 minutes until lock. Feel free to keep tossing in the questions into the chat. I know that Discord, I have not checked that yet, but let's check if we have any questions in the live show Discord. We also have a promo code Giblets 44% off your first payment for your week or month. So feel free to get in now. It's probably the last day where they were going to run it, and today might be the last day that you're able to join and still get into the $1,000 drawing that we're doing tomorrow, I believe. We also have a question here. Let's see.
There's nothing in live show chat, by the way, Ruby. I just checked for you.
Correct. We have fading Herbert at all ? I am fading in my main team. I think that's it sucks. He had 73 rushing yards last week. I don't feel very comfortable with it by any means. But ultimately, I'm banking on Eckler getting a touchdown, and maybe around the goal line, Eckler gets the touch, and instead of a Stone Smart housing one from 51 yards out, it could be Eckler this week because Stone Smart scored that long touchdown last week, and I just couldn't believe it. Couldn't believe my eyes. Let's see here. I know that we talked about 5-1s, 3-3s, 4-2s. We just went up in likes too. Yeah, let's go ahead and give it away. Glock, go ahead and go over your core for today.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I kind of mentioned it. Love Jalen Guyton, captain. He was on my first team, but my next best team is a Keenan Allen captain. Obviously, Jalen Guyton is in the util spot. And then I'm putting Lamar in there, but obviously it makes more sense with Herbert just in general. But yeah, that's my core. Keenan Allen captain, Jalen Guyton util, Lamar Jackson in the util. You can make your assumptions if Herbert's in there or not, but you have the value on this slate to kind of get double QBs in your builds pretty easily. So yeah, that's what I'll say.
Perfect. How do you feel about the double Ravens tight end build? That's interesting. Obviously, likely with Kolar, you'd be able to fit a stud captain, likely Lamar at captain, I would assume. Get him with 2 pass catchers at bare minimum. Can probably get in a double quarterback build in there too. I'm a big Charlie Kolar guy. I'm what?
Oh, we're back. I don't know what just happened there.
I'm a big Charlie Kolar guy. So, I mean, if Charlie Kolar is going to be in your team, I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, man, that's awful. Because I genuinely like Charlie Kolar. It just becomes the issue of what the rest of your build looks like. If you have Lamar at captain with it, is absolutely something that I would do. The double Ravens tight end is kind of sick. I actually never thought of it before. So not never thought of it before, but I haven't fiddled with that too much yet. So Glock, what do you think about that double Ravens tight end build?
I think it's interesting for sure. I mean, the bit last year was tight ends in Showdown, and it could very well easily be this happened tonight. I mean, we talk about Lamar being a first read guy, on the goal line, it's generally designed plays for tight ends, right? They're the ones that, come off the line and they're open right away, right in the middle. So you could easily see one to likely, and then, next drive or two, or any drive really, it'll be to Kolar. So, I mean, I don't hate it at all.
Love it. Let's see. Any other questions? Feel free to pop them into the chat. If not, we'll probably head out of here just a little bit early. I know that the game just ended and stuff, but we'll talk in circles all day long. I just need something to work with here. But, God, I cannot believe that terrible beat of Jalen Hurts rushing it in, of all people. God, it just sucks.
So painful.
Oh, God. And the thing was, if I went Trey McBride over Njoku, I was dead set on Njoku today. If I went Trey McBride over him, it's $15K. So
didn't McBride smash?
Yeah. If I went Njoku over McBride, so it does suck. Favorite play? My favorite play is Jalen Guyton. I just think that too cheap for what he can do. Glock, who's your favorite play?
I'm with you. We're on the Jalen Guyton train for sure.
Love it. 5-1 Ravens stack 2. Curtin already answered this. I prefer more 3-3s and 4-2s. It's a 3-point spread, and the Chargers are at home. I just don't think the Ravens are going to do them like that. I just think the Chargers might be even the better team in some cases. And I know it's going to be a little bit of a hot take and stuff, but ultimately, I think the Chargers might be able to take this game more than other people can. Let's see. We have a highest scoring player. Lamar Jackson, but that's the bailout call. Anyone not named Lamar Jackson or Justin? The highest scoring non-quarterback block. Who do you think it is?
Oh man, there's too many cop outs here.
Keenan Allen.
Just based on my exposure, I'm going Keenan Allen.
Yeah, when you got Keenan Allen, captain, that definitely makes sense.
Point per dollar though, Jalen Guyton.
Yeah, I like it. Guyton captain, still with Herbert, still like Johnson over Bateman. Yeah, I do. I think that just makes sense. As long as you have Herbert, it's okay to overstack with him, especially on a showdown slate. Josh Kelly. No, not for me. I don't want to sit here and say like Josh Kelly's the worst player in the world, because 3.4K, he's probably going to get more touches than Quentin Johnson or Rashad Bateman, right? Some other plays that we've mentioned on this slate. Glock, what do you think about Josh Kelly tonight?
I have none personally, so I don't like him.
Yeah, I do too. Oh, yeah, I'm with you. Any FanDuel information you can pass for a player? I do have the full playbook up on site. There is a couple of cheap options on FanDuel, and both of them happen to be Ravens wide receivers too. So you get Rashad Bateman at 6,500 if you're looking for a punt. You also have Isaiah Likely, who's only 8K over on FanDuel. So it's a huge price discrepancy. And also worth mentioning that I think it is Zay Flowers even has a little bit of a soft price tag on FanDuel too. So ultimately, I do lean the Ravens side on FanDuel just a little bit more, like more 3-2 Ravens. I do think double quarterback is super easy to fit into. We already like Jalen Guyton. We already liked Isaiah Likely. And then all of a sudden you're kind of like, oh, wow, now I have a bunch of salary to work with. Keaton Mitchell is only 8K over there too. So I do think the big playability of Keaton Mitchell can be better on FanDuel because you're only committing it's like 8 out of 60K of your salary. That's not bad at all. Definitely think that can be the move there on FanDuel. Let's see.
Jalen Guyton's only 8K too over there. So that's
exactly.
That's a real nice tag for a guy that we like. Helps you jam in studs as well. So yeah.
Let's see. Lamar and Odell Beckham Jr. or Herbert and Flowers.
Man, that's tough because I love the double QB builds, but I think if I were to pick one, it would be the Lamar side. I just think his floor on a showdown slate and his upside is like, it's hard to pass up on Lamar. Like if I had to choose one quarterback, it'd be Lamar, and I think the field agrees there with me. But who knows? Herbert might outrush Lamar, and then obviously the obvious side right there becomes Herbert Flowers. So yeah.
If you're fading Lamar, and this will also go with this next question, and Michael Rojas, I'll get to you in just a second. But if you're fading Lamar, right, I would hope that you have Gus Edwards in that team. And I just think that you have to go with the script. You have to commit that Gus Edwards is the one who's scoring those touchdowns because Lamar is too good to not be in the flex, assuming that these other wide receivers hit and stuff. So I'm with you. I'm not a huge Odell Beckham guy at all, but I probably would lean Lamar and ODB despite having more Herbert and Flowers just overall. I do like those two just individually, but I do think the Lamar fade's really bold. Just straight up, God, I think it's Herbert and Flowers, but I'm not knowing the rest of your build. If you had Gus Edwards in there, then I definitely would lean too. Dicker or OBJ? I think it's OBJ. We talk about skill players over kickers and stuff. I think that's the same with you, Glock, right?
Yeah, 100%.
All right, we already had this question before. I'll go ahead and let you answer it again. Odell and Likely, or I guess it's Odell or Likely.
Yeah, likely for me for sure.
Yeah, that's likely the answer for me too.
Terrible. Likely to score a touchdown tonight, yeah.
We have some big screenshots coming in. Oh man, one dude got 6th in the millie. I don't know if you remember Rahul. Oh yeah, Rahul was a good dude too. A single bullet and the 5.55, 6th in the millie, man. Damn, he was how many points off was he? He was 13 points off first. Still a great showing for Rahul. Let's see. Yeah, that Jalen Hurts touchdown. Damn it. Let's see. Any other questions here? Going once, going twice. I'll give it a minute here. We might sign off just a little bit early. See some screenshots too from fans. We got 5K and stuff. Wow, this is nice to see. Still really hurting on that Hurts touchdown. I keep mentioning it. I keep circling back to it. That's just because of how salty I am, Glock.
It happens, brother. It happens.
Yeah.
We'll get it back on Showdown.
How do we get it back, Glock? It's already gone.
We ship.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, we'll get that. Yeah, we'll get that money back for sure. All right. Thanks, guys. Bad beat, Ruby. Yeah, it's all right. We got ourselves in a position. That's all you can ask. Appreciate it though. Lamar captain. Here we go. We got one question. Play both Guyton and Johnston. I do think it's in play. I do prefer Guyton straight up, and I only have one of the wide receivers in the main team. But I do think it's viable. What do you think, Glock?
Yeah, I have a few teams with both of them together for sure. I would consider if you have those two together, Keenan maybe is a little stretch. Obviously Herbert could toss 3 touchdowns, 1 to each guy, and they could all 3 be together. But in that, you kind of are hoping for like Herbert captain, right? Because Keenan's not doing enough to separate at the captain spot. So that's just something I would keep in mind. But I definitely do have some builds with them together.
Love it. Lamar captain, we already talked about it. Despite you having 4 to 5 points higher on any other player, it was really tough to get Lamar captain. We had one in there. So yeah, it's definitely something there to kind of keep track of. Do you like Zay at captain? Yeah, I think we both like Zay a little bit. Definitely to mix it in. Zay Flowers could be the direct beneficiary to Mark Andrews being out. So absolutely load in on Zay Flowers if you like him. OBJ or Guyton? This one has been asked already, and I actually do find this one a little bit intriguing. I would actually go Guyton.
Yeah, I mean, it's a salary thing, right? Like straight up. Yeah. Straight up, I think I'm with you with Guyton as well, but it's like, what does Guyton get you in that like 2v2, right? Like if you do go OBJ, what is your other piece? And then if you go down to Guyton, what does that allow you to get, because it frees up so much salary. And yeah, in terms of exposure, I definitely have more Guyton than OBJ.
Yeah, same. And I do think just straight up, Guyton's going to be on the field a lot. OBJ might not be on the field a lot. Obviously, he got there with a long play in the fourth quarter or whatever, a large chunk of yards. Definitely kind of uncomfortable playing him, to be honest. Little prop, and he's got Keaton Mitchell and Gus the Bus build. I respect it. I think it would be better to fade Lamar in that one. Herbert or Eckler, less spot. I got Herbert straight up by a couple points. What do you think, Locke?
Same, yeah. In terms of exposure, I've said it a couple of times. I'm more on the double QB builds today, and it shows in my exposure. So Herbert for me, straight up as well.
Lamar captain, Odell, likely Herbert, Q, Dicker, and 1,600. Yeah, it's a good team. I probably shouldn't have flashed that up. You don't want to be sharing full teams, or else DK might come at you. But yeah, Eckler, Gus. I mean, obviously, probably start Eckler by a mile for sure.
That one's easy.
Yeah, that one's easy. I'm not. Watch Gus Edwards waltz in 3 different times.
Those aren't the coin flip 1v1s right there. So yeah.
The Guyton one's interesting because, like, let's say you had a build you really like and stuff, and OBJ fit, and you just want the rifle in Guyton. Obviously, a little bit different scenario for sure, but I can definitely get on board with that. Yeah, I think we're all good. Glock, good luck tonight, man. Thanks for joining me. And have a great rest of y'all's night. Thanks for joining us, too. We have a good time ahead. We got a bunch of NBA content up and running. Glock does a great job with the playbooks, and he'll definitely have those up later in the week. We also have the last game of the in-season tournament, which I feel like has provided a little bit of edge here at RPS, and it's been a fun time. Again, Giblets 44, your last chance to use it is probably today. So make sure to get in 44% off your first week or first month, depending on what you choose. Everyone have a great rest of your day and good luck tonight.